The anime begins with a television announcement informing viewers that the second princess of the Vermillion Empire, Stella Vermillion, is reportedly visiting Japan. She received the highest rating among Tokyo's strongest knights and was admitted to Heigun Academy. Ikki turns off the TV after listening to the news and goes outside for a walk. In a flashback of Ikki, it is revealed that he was weakest at school due to a lack of talent. He is now a blazer and a magical knight. A blazer can cause the soul to appear as armor and exert powers, and those who are approved by the international organization are called magical knights. Ikki walks into his room after returning from jogging and finds Stella as she is getting dressed. In front of her, he also removes his clothes and Stella yells at him. Ikki is subsequently called into the director's office, where the director tells him that the academy has not shown good results already, and that he is hired to retrieve the reputation of the academy. Kurono reprimands Ikki for his inappropriate actions, and he apologizes to Stella for acting inappropriately. Stella asks his name and becomes enraged, and she asks him to commit Hera. Ikki says he cannot pay with his life for such a little thing. They are arguing when the director tells them they will now be roommates. But Ikki asks why they are so opposite from each other. The director explains to them that Ikki is known as the worst one, since he is the academy's weakest member, while Stella is the strongest person in the academy, so they will be together. Ikki must comply with Stella's 3 demands: that he stop talking, breathe, and open his eye. The idea put forth by the director is to engage in a mock battle, with the winner dictating the loser. The loser will follow the winner for the rest of his life, according to Stella. Stella then remembers her conversation with her other half, who asked her to quit the idea of becoming a knight, but she said that her nation needs a strong knight. On the 4th training field, they engage in a mock battle, and Ikki ultimately wins, surprising everyone, including Stella. Stella then enters Ikki's room, touches his body, and entices him. Ikki then reminds her of her commitment to serve him. Stella wants to live with Ikki, but she is claiming to be a virgin because he wants to be closer to her. Stella and Ikki are walking through the park, and now they are close to each other, even drinking water from the same bottle. He tells Stella that his sister, Shizuku Kurogane, will be coming to the academy. They enroll in Miss Yuri Oriki's class, where she informs them of the 7-star Battle Festival selection match. She reiterates the director's statement that the top 6 winners will represent their schools. Stella offers to participate in the Battle Festival, but Ikki claims he has no interest in doing so. While talking, Yuri vomits a lot of blood, and later in the hospital, she tells Stella and Ikki that she vomits daily. Ikki encounters Kagami Kusakabe, a girl who is in his class. Ikki declines her request to interview him, while Stella gets furious to see Ikki near Kagami. Shizuku, Ikki's sister, startles everyone by kissing him. Stella gets enraged to see this, but Shizuku defends herself by saying that it is entirely normal in many nations. Their arguing results in a fight despite Ikki stopping. Stella and Shizuku's fight creates destruction, and the director makes them both clean the bathrooms for a week as retribution for using electronics in class without authorization. Shizuki asks Stella to stay away from his brother, but Stella says it is impossible for her. Shizuki says Ikki felt a lot of pain for being treated like he never existed, and Stella cannot understand that. Shizuki is welcomed by her roommate, Nagia Riswin, who tells Shizuku that his friends call him Alice. Stella asks Ikki about what Shizuku said to her, and Ikki shares with her the story of his grandfather, Ryoma, the wartime leader of Japan. Ikki aspires to be his grandfather, but his family has ignored him since he lacks the talent of his forefathers. His family and relatives did not allow him to participate in any events. He had seen his grandfather, who had encouraged him to keep going and had taken him back to his house. Ikki remembered his grandfather's words and decided to be like him at any cost. He had nobody to teach him, but he kept on practicing alone and was accepted at the academy. His relatives did not want him to be a knight, and they pressured the school to prevent him from graduating. Shizuku shares Ikki's story with her roommate and says that she always likes her brother. She always tries to give him love as atonement for the injustice of her family. While Ikki is in the bath, Stella enters the bathroom. She entices him by washing his body and showing him her private areas. Then, Stella slaps Ikki. Ikki learns from Stella that she and Momotani are going to fight. He attempts to inform Stella of her opponent, but she rejects him, saying that she considers battles like this training for the future. Later, Stella wants to ask Ikki to go on a date but cannot do so. After receiving an invitation from Shizuku, Stella, and Ikki visit a mall where they are having fun. Nagi introduces himself to Ikki as Shizuku's roommate. Ikki reaches out to clean Shizuku's face while it still has cream on it, which makes Shizuku feel ashamed while she's enjoying some sweets. Stella deliberately puts some cream on her face and tries to get Ikki to do the same with her, but instead of wiping it, Ikki goes to bring a towel for her. Ikki talks to Nagi about Shizuku and his friendship and thanks him. They're talking when they hear someone running outside, and they hide after noticing that there is something troubled outside. They take out their devices, and several terrorists enter the mall. The incident has already made the news, and police have surrounded the mall. The director of the academy allows Ikki, Stella, Shizuku, and Nagi to use their devices outside the academy to handle the terrorists. Stella and Shizuku are seen with the captives, and Shizuku whispers to Stella that she has a plan, but needs some time to act on it. At this very moment, a lady shouts out for one of the terrorists to stop hurting her kid, but the assailant has already started trying to kill the youngster. However, Stella steps in to save him. He then attacks Stella but realizes that she is a blazer. Bishop, the leader of the terrorists, comes and introduces himself to Stella and uses her power against her as she tries to save her mother. Stella attacks him, but he dodges her, and Bishop asks Stella to kneel down naked to save others. Stella starts taking off her clothes in front of everyone, and Ikki gets enraged and tries to rush, but Nagi tells him that he has pinned his shadow down. Shizuku casts her magic spell and creates a barrier, and terrorists realize that there is another blazer except Stella. Bishop orders the other terrorists to shoot everyone. They get into a violent fight, but eventually, a blazer by the name of Kirihara saves them all. Kirihara's popularity with girls makes Shizuku and Stella dislike him. Ikki gives Kirihara praise for rescuing them. Kirihara is compared to Ikki by Stella, who uses this to defend Ikki. It is known that Ikki's first battle opponent is Kirihara. Stella's first opponent is Mamatani, who is known as the heavy tank. Mamatani admits defeat in no time, and Stella wins. Kagami praises Stella, and Ikki felicitates her on her victory. Ikki and Stella discuss Kirihara's abilities, and Ikki is determined to win the battle. Ikki tells Nagi about his last fight with Kirihara. He says that when Ikki first met Kirihara, he suggested they fight so that Ikiki's fighting skills would be recognized by the staff. He refused, but Ikki started fighting with him. Ikki says he'll never give up and keep building his strength. Nagi encourages Ikki and says that one day someone will hear the screams of his heart. Ikki runs into Demon Princess Nene Seikyo, who gives Ikki private lessons. But the director of the academy, Kurono, intervenes and yanks Nin away from Ikki. Before the match, Ikki remembers his childhood and the advice of his grandfather. When Kirihara and Ikki fight, Kirihara can easily take out Ikki with a single shot. Kirihara activates his sphere of invisibility, conjures up a forest, and starts shooting arrows toward Ikki. He hits a lot of arrows and injures Ikki. Stella is surprised that Ikki is not using techniques, and Nico tells him that Ikki's anxiety causes him to lose his regular frame of mind. Ikki gets further discouraged as the audience joins in on Kirihara's ridicule of her and starts chanting "Worst One" under Kirihara's direction. Stella instructs Ikki to stand up and exhorts her to defend herself against Kirihara. Ikki stands up and says thanks to Stella for encouraging him. Kirihara now aims at Ikki's head, but is surprised to see that Ikki has dodged him. All the people are shocked at how Ikki can see Kirihara, although he is invisible. Ikki attacks Kirihara and defeats him in no time. After the announcement of his victory, Ikki collapses and is taken to the hospital for treatment. When he awakens, he discovers Stella dozing at his bedside. Shizuku is standing outside Ikki's room, and Nagi asks her why she has not gone inside. He then hugs Shizuku and shows his love for her. Ikki tries to show his love for Stella, but she stops him and tells him to close his eyes. Ikki holds her as she kisses him on the cheeks. They both vow to take part in the decisive conflict. Stella is practicing fighting and thinking about her relationship with Ikki. A few girls from Ikki's class want him to teach them swordsmanship after he wins another battle. Stella accuses him of being overly generous as a way to express her jealousy. Ikki falls asleep before she can finish her explanation of their relationship. Ikki trains some girls and is interrupted by 5 freshmen who appear envious of the women's attention Ikki was receiving throughout their training session. Ikki promptly disarms the arms of the new students after they apologize for their behavior. Shizuku offers Ikki a drink after Stella asks if he's thirsty in an attempt to give him some water. Stella continues to drink while sobbing, but nobody else notices. She then asks Ikki to teach her swordsmanship, and he agrees. But after that, Stella refuses again and runs from there. Nagi handed Stella a game to play in which she talks to a man who resembles Ikki. She is talking to Ikki in her imagination when Ikki enters the room and Stella gets panicked to see him. Ikki tells her that he is going to the pool with Shizuku and some other girls. The following day, on the way to the pool, Stella thinks about Ikki and sees him. When everyone is at the pool for training, Stella participates on her own, concentrating on her inward journey. Ikki tells everyone about the importance of training activities. Stella tells Kagami about her love affair with Ikki, and she says she will keep it secret. Shizuku converses with Nagi about Ikki, while Stella talks about her love story with Kagami. Kagami asks if she has told Ikki about her love, and she replies, no. Kagami then runs, saying that she is going to tell Ikki about Stella's love. Ikki then comes to Stella and asks what she wants to say to him. Stella thinks Ikki is talking about their breakup, but Ikki says he wants to continue their relationship. After verbally sparring over their 2-week romance, Ikki and Stella finally kiss at a fountain. When they are returning, they both get messages from their upcoming rivals, Ikazuchi Sayu and Renren Tamaru, who are also student council members. Saiju and Renren can be seen practicing inside the student council office, as this is happening in preparation for their impending conflict with their connected foes. Saiju is fighting Stella using his weight accumulation, which enables him to make his device heavier with each swing, while Ikki is fighting Renren as she already employs her grid noble art. Even after using Renren's Blackbird technique and Sayuju's crescendo axe, Stella and Ikki remain unconquered. Shizuku is attempting to approach Ikki when Stella becomes irritated. Shizuki asks Stella not to interfere in their conversation. Ayase Ayatsuji, a girl, chases Ikki and accidentally falls into the water. Later, she thanks them for saving her and informs them that her father was a skilled swordsman who participated in numerous contests. Shizuku tells Stella that Ayase's father was a true master, but he was not well known because he was not a blazer. Ayase says she is happy to know that a strong blazer like Ikki worships her father. Shizuku then asks Ayase angrily why she is stalking Ikki, and she replies that she wants to get training from Ikki. Ayase is invited to join Ikki in his sword sparring session, and she agrees. In the woods, Ikki works with Ayase to improve her stance, and Ikki tells her that she is unable to improve until she stops imitating her father's moves because she is different in gender from her father. Ayase praises Ikki's techniques, and he asks her to correct her moves. He then touches her thigh to correct her initial form, and Stella and Shizuku get furious. Ayase learns the techniques in no time and says thanks to Ikki. Ikki expresses regret for touching Ayase. However, Ayase wasn't bothered. Stella asks Shizuku why she's not jealous when Ikki touches Ayase, and she says she has no problem with that because Ayase has no intention to seduce Ikki. Stella says to Shizuku that she has become mature, although she is a little girl. At night, Stella and Ikki talk about today's incident of Ikki touching Ayase, and Ikki assures Stella that he simply wanted to improve her moves. With wooden swords, Stella and Ayase are practicing while Stella praises Ayase's skill. After that, Ikki, Stella, and Ayase go to a diner, where Ayase shows her gratitude toward Ikki, saying that she feels she is getting closure with her father after learning every technique. Meanwhile, Kurado comes with his fellows and teases Ayase and tries to bully Ikki. To Stella's surprise, Ikki doesn't respond. Later, Ikki reveals why he was unable to compete with Kurado. A youngster claims that Kurado was one of the top 8 out of 7 sword arts festivals and the ace of the Danro Academy. Ikki's wounds are treated by Utakada, a student council representative. When Ikki and Ayase learn, they will face one another in the upcoming competition. Ayase decides not to practice and summons Ikki to see her alone. Ikki ignores Nagi's warnings about Eiji and goes to meet her. Ayase asks Ikki what he would do if he came up against a foe he could never beat. Ikki replies that he will always engage in fair combat. After drawing her device, Ayase somehow manages to breach the fence behind her, but Ikki saves her, and they both fall into the water. Ikki uses his Itu Shura to save her, and later, Ayase says she deliberately did this so that Ikki could not use his Itu Shura in the match against her. Ikki trips and falls on top of Stella as she is having a dream about him. The next morning, when Ikki wakes up, he finds himself in the hospital, and Stella tells him that he has plenty of time for the match. Ikki starts to explain to them what happened the previous evening, but Kurono, who wanted Ikki to accompany her, interrupts her. Ikki then inquires about Ayase, and Kurono responds by describing Ayase's father. She tells them that Ayase's father was defeated by Kurado. All his property was handed over to Kurado, and he's been unconscious for the past 2 years. Ayase keeps in mind her father's words of wisdom to never let her pride in being a swordsman fade. She remembers how her father apologized to Ayase in his unconsciousness. Ayase wants to get into the 7-Star Festival to fight with Kurado again. Ikki asks Stella and Shizuku to come with him. Ikki and Ayase are fighting, and Ayase attempts to use the Mark of the Wind against him. To Ayase's surprise, however, Ikki can avoid it. Ikki gets knocked to the ground by Ayase's use of her Haizum, but he can defend himself by using the irregular guard on the hilt of his sword to block the assault. Nagi realizes that Ayase's is using forbidden techniques, and Ikki might win the act automatically when Ayase's techniques are recognized by others. Ikki recalls the conversation he had with Yuri regarding Ayase's cheating. Ikki asks Yuri to keep an eye on Ayase's cheating during the match. He tells Yuri that he does not want to break his friendship with Ayase. He then says to Ayase that she is ignoring the techniques that he has taught her. He then challenges her, saying he will bring back her pride by defeating her. They both make every effort to win, and although Ayase employs every tactic at her disposal to evade Ikki, she eventually concedes defeat, and Ikki prevails in the match. Due to their closeness, Ikki offers Ayase the opportunity to regain her pride. Holding Ikki's hand, Ayase requests assistance. Kaito Ayatsuji, Ayase's father, retired during Ayase's junior high years due to heart issues, but he continued to teach Ayase despite his illness and told her about different sword style. Kurado, a man who unofficially assaults nearby schools, is being discussed by Ayase, Ikki, and Stella. Stella explains to them how Kaito was defeated by Kurado in the Ayatsuji dojo. Ayase's father, Kaito, did not back down and kept on fighting despite how badly he was injured. Ayase rushed to stop them, but Kaito told her not to interrupt them. Kurado was the target of Kaito's secret technique, which nearly worked. However, Kaito had started to cough up blood and was unable to grip the sword, collapsing to the ground as a result, giving Kurado the victory. After this, Kurado tells Ayase that she does not belong to the dojo and asks them to leave. Kurado and his group are discovered by Ikki, Ayase, and Stella in the dojo. Kurado accepts Ikki's challenge to engage in combat to take back the dojo from him. Kurado pulls out his weapon, or Ochimaru, and attacks Ikki. Ikki draws his weapon, Intetsu, as well, and the duel starts. Kurado attacks him violently and does not give Ikki a chance to counterattack. Ikki halts his assaults after being repeatedly hit by Kurado throughout the fight. Stella and Ayase are shocked to see Ikki fighting, and he reminds Ayase about her father. Ikki tries to stab Kurado, but he manages to dodge him. Stella then observes Kurado's vulnerability, which is that employing marginal counter requires more energy, which causes him to lose stamina more quickly than Ikki, while Stella and Ayase are discussing their techniques. They both keep modifying them. Ayase wants to intervene, but Stella stops her. Ikki suddenly prevails in the struggle as Kurado's device vanishes. Ikki, who is injured, is held by Stella, and Ayase apologizes to him and believes herself responsible for this. Stella and Ikki are sitting in the park, where it is revealed that Ayase gets expelled from the match and school for 10 days after it is discovered that she cheated during a battle with Ikki. Ikki gets a message from Ayase stating that her father has returned to his conscience. Nagi and Shizuku interrupt Ikki and Stella as they attempt to hold hands. Ayase holds her father's hand, who is in conscience now. After winning their 11th match in a row, Stella and Ikki are heading to Okutama for training. Shizuku can be seen seeming very furious at her inability to prevent Stella and Ikki from traveling alone. Nagi calms Shizuku down, saying that it is not going to be a romantic journey for them. Stella and Ikki have started getting along better. Ikki offers his coat to Stella when she gets cold and they get closure with each other. Ikki sees the school council on top of a mountain. Stella and Renren play badminton, and when the student council was requested to clean the lounge where they were staying, Stella was enlisted since they needed additional help. All of the pupils then head to the waterfall at Ikki and Stella's suggestion. Ikki feels Stella is weak and tired, and on his asking, Stella says it was nothing. Shizuki is looking at Akiki's picture when she is informed that her father is waiting for her. Stella becomes ill and weak enough that she can barely stand up. Ikki decides to take her back when it starts raining. Ikki then assists Stella in removing her wet clothing because she is barely able to do so on her own. Ikki informs a man about his location. Shizuku's father explains to her that he was curious about how she was doing and even expresses his pride in her for winning 12 straight games. She then asks him about Ikki and informs him that Ikki has also won the 12 matches. When Ikki exits the cottage, he discovers a massive golem perched on it. Before the golem destroys the cabin, Ikki manages to defend Stella from its onslaught. The smaller golems close in on a sick Stella, pushing Ikki off to the side. Ikki is immobile, but the student council manages to save Stella. Ikki is unsure about what to do when a girl wearing a Hagen Academy uniform and glasses enters and claims that all golems, no matter how far away, are under control. She eliminates every tiny golem. Ikki then learns that the Blazer, who eliminated all the golems, is in the top 4 of last year's 7 Sword Festival and the strongest knight of the academy. Shizuku receives a message and learns that Tuka Tudu will be her next opponent in a preliminary battle. Shizuku beams in anticipation of the test Tuka will set for her. Shizuku recalls her time spent in the Kurigane household, and she recalls how she had everything she desired until a young Ikki slapped her and corrected her. She then decided to follow her brother, but she did not know about Ikki's harsh environment and loneliness. Back to the present, Stella, Ikki, and Nagi are perusing a puppet article and learn that the rock puppet was an actual giant. Ikki says they cannot find out who sent this rock puppet. They discuss Tuka, and Stella is concerned about Shizuku, who is going to combat Tuka tomorrow. They want her to win the match. Shizuku is interrupted by Stella while having a shower, and she asks if she is nervous. Shizuku says Tuka is a much stronger opponent for her, so she is a little bit nervous. Nagi drags Shizuku outside to discuss their concerns about her. He advises her to triumph over Tuka. Shizuku tells him that she has to become strong for Ikki, who has experienced pain, hardship in his life. She says she realized the heavy and painful reality of Ikki's life and decided to give him all the love. She is determined to prove herself in the battle tomorrow. The match starts when Shizuku and Tuka pull out their weapons, but neither of them moves for some time. Utakeda is seen at the match conversing with Kanata, and he agrees that, at least from afar, the bout appears to be quite close. Stella asks Ikki why Shizuku cannot see Tuka's moves. Ikki says that Tuka is using the same technique Nukiyashi and Nen used, causing them to interpret Shizuka's movements as superfluous data. Kuruno comes and confirms that Ikki is right, because Nenin and Tuka were trained by the same master. To defeat one another, they each employed distinct strategies. After a bloody struggle, Tuka defeats Shizuku, and the two tumble to the ground. In the middle of the night, Alice, Stella, and Ikki are found with Shizuku in the hospital. They all leave at Shizuku's request, except Nagi. Shizuku is praised by everyone for her bravery. Ikki is happy with Shizuku, who is now strong. Alice hugs Shizuku as he tells her she did well, and she becomes emotional and weeps in his arms. Then, Itsuki is shown in his office, learning that Shizuku had lost. Itsuki said that he was free to act anyway and was pleased when the man in the suit asked what he should do about the issue. Stella wins all 14 matches and reminds Ikki of their agreement to compete in the 7 Sword Art Festival finals after the match. Ikki says they will have to win all the matches to qualify for the final. A photographer records them kissing while taking their picture. Kurono asks Ikki about Akaza, a lifelong student and member of the Knight Ethics Committee. Ikki tells her that he knows Akaza, who is working under his father. Ikki and Stella are called to the student council room, and when they enter, they see Tuka falling. She then introduces herself to Stella and Ikki. Ikki and Stella travel to the orphanage with their classmates. As the party spends the day playing with the children at the orphanage, Ikki, Tuka, and Utakata prepare meals. Ikki likes Tuka's looks, and Otaka's looks, and Dotaka praises Tuka's abilities. Ikki is attracted to Tuka's beauty. Utakeda explains how they used to live in the orphanage. When Ikki and Stella return, they are informed that Ikki's relationship with Stella has been exposed in the newspaper. Ikki is taken by Akaza to the Ethics Committee, where he is questioned by the members of the Ethics Committee about his relationship with Stella. He is sent to a cell and informed that tomorrow will be his next hearing. Ikki and Stella are informed that information regarding their scandal has surfaced. When Stella easily defeated her 15th opponent once more, the audience started to whisper about her affair with Ikki as she left the stage. She goes into her room and misses Ikki a lot. Ikki finds out that the Ethics Committee's office will be the site of his selection contest. Yuri is traveling with Ikki's foe, and he tries to talk to Ikki, but the guards do not allow him. According to Kagami at Hagen Academy, Ikki came close to defeating Stella, Alice, and Shizuku in his conflicts before the Ethics Committee. Stella begins to doubt her relationship with Ikki and wonders if it would be best if they ended it. Shizuku gets enraged at Stella, and they argue. Ikki wins the duel against his opponent. Yuri gives Stella's lock to Ikki in secret. Ikki wishes to talk to his father and discovers from him that he wasn't contemptuous of him. Rather, he just didn't believe he could achieve anything. Ikki gets emotional and realizes that he's had no bond with his father since the beginning. Ikki keeps fighting one battle after another and seems very tired and exhausted. It is then announced that Ikki's final opponent in the opening rounds will be Tuka Tududu. Ikki begins to doubt the value of his might inside his prison after meeting his father. Shizuku comes to Tuka's room and asks her to come with her. Tuka tells her that she is going to fight Ikki tomorrow. The orphanage's director and Tuka have a conversation. Shizuku worries about whether or not she should persuade Ikki to surrender his match as she tells Nagi about her conversation with Tuka. Stella is training while Ikki is still struggling. The selection match's last day kicks off with a big audience and is live broadcast on television. Akaza comes and guesses that the match might be cancelled because Ikki has not arrived yet. According to the rule, if a person is not reached after 15 minutes of the fixed time, the other participant wins by default. Akaza tells Kuruno that when he went to pick up Ikki, he had already left for the field. Ikki keeps in mind what his grandfather said while walking. Shizuku brings him outside and tries to cheer him up, saying that he is not alone. All the students gather to encourage Ikki. Ikki makes his way to the field with a lifted spirit. The struggle is being observed by Nena's master in the meantime. Ikki and Tuka introduce themselves. Ikki uses an even more powerful maneuver, which causes blood to pour out of his body. When everything is said and done, Ikki is declared the winner, and Tuka falls to the ground. Okaza gets furious and rushes to the field to kill Ikki. While shoving him aside, Stella prevents Ikki from passing out. Ikki confesses his love for Stella on live television and proposes to her, which she accepts. Itsuki and the Vermillion Emperor had a conversation about keeping their kids out of illicit adult relationships. 6 students are being selected as representatives at the academy. Ikki serves as their commander, while the Hager sisters, Alice, Stella, Kanata, and Kanata are chosen as other representatives.